Oh, what's
Ready or not, here we come, and that's exactly what we say in the... never mind. Welcome back to Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host, at Hot BFF with 2 P's, Christopher, joined by Daniel.
Theory, at Theory BFF, fresh off of one of the busiest times of the year for me at work, so I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm pissed, and the beer I got for the show is a bit flat, so I'm even more pissed off, but we're going to scroll through it because fuck it. That's what we do.
All right, we've already got a question. Richard Lopez says, thanks for the advice all year, guys. You were absolutely welcome. Thank you for tuning in all year. Got to start too. Chris Carson, David Johnson, Kalen Balazs, James White.
Look.
So not Kalen Balazs.
The answer is never Kalen Balazs.
I'm going Carson and James White because I'm not sure I'm going to get points out of the other two.
I have to ask what else is available on the waiver. The answer for these 4 is Carson and White. But I hope there's something better out there because White is getting minimal usage. He could get some work against Houston, but
it depends. Game script could be in his favor.
It could be
against Houston, because they do have a good enough offense sometimes to beat to keep up with the Patriots. And Chris Carson, I believe, has a plus matchup.
He is against Minnesota, so it's not so much of a plus matchup.
Not great.
And his fumbling woes with the rise of Penny, especially in the second half last week.
Yeah.
There's for me, there's legitimate concern with where this team is at, and against a team that's just as good.
Out of those 4, though, I mean, it can't be Kalen Balazs. He hasn't gotten over 35 yards in a game.
It's not Kalen Balazs.
And David Johnson, you can't be sure that he's even going to get usage based on what we saw before the bye week. Now, I've speculated that it's, could be injury, that after the bye week he could be healthier, that they're going to mix all 3 of them in or whatever. But Kenyon Drake's been really good. So, yeah you got to go with this dude. Nothing. Super deep benches. He's got Madison at his bench. Free agents are Nyheim Hines and Adrian Peterson.
Cole Skit to Tennessee. I don't like that one. I don't think that pace is enough to keep Hines super game scripts heavy. And then Peterson. I think Peterson can get some really touches. It's a good matchup for them. I just don't. It's
a good matchup. You just have the worry of Geis there, and I don't know that it's really plus over Carson, who at least has some receiving game work too. And we know Carson will get used in the passing game over Penny.
Yeah, it's going to be. Unfortunately, it's going to be Carson and White, and hopefully Carson can still find the end zone. We've gone through the story before of Carson fumbling and then Penny getting some work, and nothing's come of it. So,
we'll
see if that remains the same.
Yep. So there you go. It's Carson and James White. I don't envy that decision, but we appreciate you too. All right. So we introduced ourselves. I should probably introduce the show. Welcome to Beerfield Fantasy Football at Beerfield FF on Twitter, Beerfield Fantasy Football on Facebook and YouTube, where you can ask questions just like Richard has all year, and we will give you all the answers we possibly can. You can also do that on Sunday morning. With games happening Thursday, sure, that's going to be tough. We're all going to be Dan's going to be working. I'm going to be doing the family thing. But we'll be here Sunday to try to give you all your must wins and answer all of your difficult questions. Again, you also tune in now. But so that's the Sunday live show. I'll be here at least. I don't know what are you working Sunday?
I'm off.
Okay.
I'm off Sunday, Monday.
We'll both be here, maybe.
We'll do our best to answer. I mean, with me at work, if we're slow,
I'm traveling, so
yeah. We'll do our best to try to get to you guys before the 11:30 game kicks off.
Yep.
And hopefully you won't have too much. It's a pretty popular 3-game slate, so.
Yep. But regardless, happy Thanksgiving, and let's talk about what we're drinking on Blackout Wednesday.
What's fueling Beerfield?
All right, Dan, what do you got?
I got Rolling Meadows Raspberry Truffle Porter. Rolling Meadows was out of Cantrell, Illinois, about 15 minutes or so out of Springfield. It is what it is. It's the raspberry chocolate porter.
All right, it is what it is. There's the review already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am, I think maybe breaking new ground here. I have Big Smooth. It is a Old Vine Zinfandel out of Napa, California, checking in at 15.5%. So
Wine.
I'm drinking wine. After Dan made the comment on Monday, we haven't had that much wine. So I think the only other wine we've actually had was my punishment, which was Barefoot Moscato.
And that's like barely wine. I mean, it's wine, but it's like...
Right, this is real wine.
This is real wine.
Hey, speaking of punishments, what's my punishment for losing last week?
Oh, that's right. We're gonna have you. It won't be so much of a punishment, but of potential new findings. I want you to find a seasonal beer, whether it be a pumpkin variety or a Thanksgiving variety, or a winter style beer that you haven't tried before.
I've got one in my fridge actually that I was gonna have tonight, and then we cracked a bottle of wine, so we're good there.
Perfect.
I mean, I hadn't tried it before I bought it. I tried one tonight. Does that still count, though? Or do you want the fresh try on the show? Because there are a couple others I was looking at.
Well, let's do first time on the show.
Okay.
Let's hear your first. Let's put the virgin on the air. I don't know how that's the saying, but
okay. Wait. So okay, first time on the show, but I can have tried the beer ahead of the show. Like I bought it tonight without having tried it because it was intriguing. Or do you want the first taste to be on the show? Because I can do that. Like I said, I can
first
do that
taste
too.
on the show.
First taste on the show, so pick something else up. Got it.
Yep.
That's can do.
Perfect.
All right, that'll be on Monday.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. Two news items to get into. We'll talk hangovers and get prepped on injury, special Thanksgiving segment, and then our normal check in the boxes.
News.
All right. News. Other than the fact that Sam Darnold went out and got blackout drunk after the win, apparently it was making out with people. Not a good thing for we now understand how he got mono. Thank you, New York Post.
Yeah, right.
Drew Lock and Brandon Allen are set to split practice reps this week. So, neither of them you're not going to run out and start either of them. First off. Unless you're in a dynasty league and desperately need quarterback help, and then you may be activating Drew Lock off your practice squad. Oddly, with still a chance of the playoffs. Oddly specific statement coming from me there. But, yeah, I've gone between tanking and if I win, I can still make the playoffs, and Drew Lock might be my save here. Anyway, I think this is the right move. I think that Brandon Allen ain't it. He's completed less than 50% of his passes. I think that if you're Elway and the Broncos, if he's healthy, you put Drew Lock in, get him some developmental starts, or well out of playoff contention, get him a jump start on next season.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Duck Hodges is officially starting week 13 for the Steelers. We all knew this was coming. Tomlin's still playing coy and says it's a week-to-week thing, but if Hodges gets any form of momentum or anything out of this offense, which we know he can do at least with his legs better than Rudolph can, then you're set there. All Mason Rudolph has done is solidified Ben Roethlisberger staying in Pittsburgh longer.
Yeah. I'm still not starting Bucky Hodges or Ducky Hodges this week.
Bucky. Completely different person.
Completely different. Well, same side of the ball.
Yeah.
Completely different people, though.
Oh, what could have been.
Yeah, right.
Rest in peace, Bucky Hodges' career. Flashback to season 1. Yikes. All right, let's get into some hangovers. What might be on the drive to my grandma's tomorrow, but at least I got 3 hours to kick it.
Hangovers.
All All right, a lot more of these to get to. I think Roto World sent the interns home, though, because the first 5 had no context to them whatsoever. Zach Ertz didn't practice Wednesday with a hamstring injury. That is a new-ish occurrence. So, if you're an Ertz owner, you probably don't have the chance to having Goddard. If you do, get him. If not, hopefully Ryan Griffin's on waivers.
I mean, he is in a lot of leagues, but it was right after waivers have ran through, so he might be still out there for people.
Yeah. Tracey Edmonds was limited in practice Wednesday with his hamstring injury. They've already said he's going to make his return this week, so I don't think that's in jeopardy.
I don't think I expect anything from him with a hamstring injury, too.
I don't much either. Gerald Everett did not practice Wednesday with a knee injury. That is new. It's a plus matchup for him. So we're talking about waivers. Tyler Higbee, not a bad grab, especially if Everett can't go against Arizona, who's league worst against tight ends.
Yes.
Paris Campbell limited in practice Wednesday. He's expected to play.
Oh,
so, good. Yeah, you're probably not relying on Paris Campbell in a make or break week.
But
maybe worth a stash, especially if you're a Hilton owner.
Yep.
Marshawn Lattimore is questionable for Thursday versus Atlanta. That's in here because it has direct impacts on Julio Jones if he can play, who's also questionable, or Calvin Ridley.
It's huge. I mean, if he can't go, then you got to fire.
You got a plus
no
matchup.
You're playing him no matter what, anyways. But
yes,
especially with Ridley and then Russell Gage.
A lot of moving pieces here, really, because if the Falcons can put Julio and Ridley out there, then you're starting Ridley.
Yep,
because you're not going to get Lattimore. Julio will. So it just depends. So Ridley playing more out of the slot than anything kind of helps him not to draw that.
Very true.
All right, George Kittle sidelined Wednesday with an ankle injury. This is more of the situation that we see with a lot of players at this point of year. We know he's got a broken bone in his ankle that he's playing through. Played the full game last week, but they're going to try to heal him during the week and just risk it on Sundays.
Jesus.
Emmanuel Sanders limited with his rib injury. He didn't do much last week, if I remember right. And Deebo Samuel limited with the shoulder injury, which he did play through last week. Matt Breida also returned to practice in full, although the Niners' running game hasn't necessarily been fantastic as of late.
Not good matchups all around. You're still playing Kittle, and wide receivers. I probably won't play against Baltimore.
Yeah, just too much question there. Although there should be a decent amount of throwing, and the offense is going to have to try to keep up, I would think. So you're playing
really
Kittle.
Interested.
I like the receivers probably more than the running backs, I would think.
I'm really interested to see how this game starts out, because I think that's what's going to really dictate the pace of this game is early on, if any of these teams can get out to an early lead.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how Jackson does against what's been probably one of the 5 best defenses in the league.
And I'm seeing rain in the forecast as well.
Yep, it's actually bodes in Breida's favor.
Yeah.
But yeah. Juju Smith-Schuster is cleared concussion protocol. He's still dealing with a knee injury. James Conner also still sidelined for the Steelers. So plus matchup again this week for James Washington. And we saw Hodges Devlin Hodges. You got me all confused now, damn it. The Ducky and Bucky thing. Saw Duck Hodges connect with him deep last week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sold on this game, with Cleveland's defense taking a step forward, even with the absence of Garrett. I'd be interested to see.
I'm honestly hoping Juju plays just so James Washington doesn't draw Denzel Ward.
And draws Greedy Williams, who's been good this year, but he's definitely prone to mistakes.
Yep. Jeff Driscoll questionable for Week 13. If he can't go, the Lions are going to have to turn to David Blow. Or Blah, who probably blows. Either way, it's fitting. Blah. It's either Blow or Blah, and I'm not sure, or Blue. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but either way, it's probably fitting for how that performance is going to go.
I don't want to play any Detroit player. Like, none. Maybe Amendola if he gets all the underneath targets.
Yeah.
From a no experienced quarterback.
Logan Thomas.
Good defense.
Logan Thomas, top scorer for Detroit.
Ugh, that's no one wants to see that.
Yeah. Josh Norman out Week 13 against the Panthers makes DJ Moore's matchup even better.
I mean, if Norman's one of the worst rated corners in the league, so Moore is going to be a boss no matter what.
Yep. Adam Thielen missed Wednesday's practice after experiencing, quote, a slight scare with his hamstring, so have another option.
BC Johnson, I guess.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph.
Kyle Rudolph as well. He's been a baller. I mean, even Irv Smith has been balling out with his as well.
All right, this next note's in here just to give me a chance to loathe. Ben Broniker's out against the Lions. The Bears are going to turn to their 4th and 5th strings tight ends without picking anybody up. Jepser, Horsted, and JP Holtz. Because Shaheen's out and Burton's on IR. So
yeah, the law firm of Horsted and Holtz.
Yeah. The media was actually pushing for Cordero Patterson at tight end.
I mean,
matchup.
I mean, it's not the worst in the
not
world.
Going to do much for
you're
your
not going to
blocking.
have a block, but I mean, throw him in the slot. You don't really need him to play.
Yeah,
tight end. Just have him as an inline move tight end.
Yeah, we'll see what they do here. I hope one of those two guys can block. Taylor Gabriel going to miss Thanksgiving Day versus the Lions. That means more work for Anthony Miller. Basically, I love Anthony Miller this week. I didn't get him, or did I? Did I have him to start sets? I did. I switched that late. Okay, more on Anthony Miller later. I wasn't sure if I had more on Anthony Miller later, but I have more on Anthony Miller later.
And I think Slay is not playing either, so that's good all around for the Bears.
Yeah,
offense.
Julio Jones officially questionable with the shoulder injury. I mentioned that earlier. Devonta Freeman's going to return against the Saints. So. Atlanta's running game not been great all around.
Yeah, I'm not that game's whatever.
I think the problem with the running game might have been Dirk Cutter. Same thing in Tampa. Like, do we just think that Dirk Cutter doesn't know how to scheme for running the football?
I mean, I'll have to go back and look at what he did with Atlanta previously, but I mean, we got to see what it was in Tampa Bay, but it's not like they had great running backs in Tampa Bay.
They had the muscle hamster.
Yeah.
He was great.
I stand by my statement.
T.Y. Hilton limited with calf injury. He played last week. Same injury. Same thing. Most veterans just resting. Stop me if you've heard this before. Delaney Walker on IR, which means Johnny Smith gets the rest of the season.
Things will be like, this may be the last time. This may be the last season that he's in at Tennessee. I can see him retiring, and
I hope, because I'm so ready for Johnny Smith's season. I've held him for 3 years.
I mean, we've had it a little bit. It's just
Walker's been around to make that not happen. I've been holding them 3 years.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Walker hasn't played for. I mean, I can't wait for a full off season of just Smith as the one.
Yeah, and I mean, AJ Brown and Corey Davis have hurt that emerging, and Derrick Henry being efficient. Henry's a free agent, though. You got to imagine that they're going to go quarterback in the draft. So, especially if somebody falls to him, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Dynasty Johnny Smith is somebody I like.
I agree.
And if you need really in a pinch, even Damian Williams not practicing with a rib injury. Tyreek Hill is practicing in full, so Damian Williams not playing just bodes well for Darrell Williams and LaShawn McCoy.
I think McCoy's also banged up too, but
no, McCoy had the concussion thing that wasn't really a concussion.
Oh, that's right. That's
why McCoy's questionable. He had the concussion, but was never actually in concussion protocol.
Weird.
So not concussed because he regenerated his brain. Golden Tate and Evan Ingram both not practicing Wednesday for the Giants. Jordan Howard has not yet been cleared for contact for the Eagles against the Dolphins. Nelson Aguilar and Alshon Jeffrey returned to practice. So, a lot going on with the Eagles. You could be missing Ertz. Could get Aguilar and Jeffrey back, which makes Jeffrey a must start if he plays against the Dolphins. And Miles Sanders should get the majority of the running work, which makes him also a must start.
Yeah, it just yes, you're playing them all because it's Miami. I think if they're gonna miss this many starters, though, there's a slight downgrade to Wentz. A slight. It's just like with the running game, it just makes me a little.
I mean, they're getting
it's a running back by committee. Like as much as I want it to be Miles Sanders' show, they're gonna give the ball to JJ and.
Hey, remember how you like snap counts because he was over 80% last week.
Good.
So
then I hope that sticks.
And JJ was like 2.6 yards a carry. So I don't think JJ is threatening him right now is more than change pace.
That's fair. I mean, I'm playing Sanders anyways, but
I'm playing Sanders. The one that was questionable for me about putting in is Jeffrey. But if there's no Ertz, I think I got to play Jeffrey.
I mean, I'm fucking praying that Jeffrey plays because Scott Fish, the lowest scoring team in all of Scott Fish, made the playoffs.
Yep.
And I need me some Jeffrey.
You made the playoffs, and I was some 400 some odd points ahead of you, and didn't even sniff the playoffs.
So my average point total per game was 162.
Yeah, so I was averaging 14 more points a week than you, and didn't even come close.
It feels good. I'm hoping my Cinderella run can make it through.
Luck is a real thing in fantasy football.
I just need it's been a weird year, but
I have multiple leagues.
That my run continues.
I have multiple leagues where I'm like second or third in points for, but also second or third in points against, and that's just a really weird run of luck.
It's been like that. I think that's like, I'm sure this isn't like completely true, but I feel like it's been the worst this year with that. Like, there's so many people that have like posted their top 3 in points, but they're gonna miss the playoffs because of X, Y, and Z. Like, it's been bad.
Yeah, between Lamar Jackson and Chris Godwin and somebody else last week, like I got stomped in one league.
Oof.
That was like 100 points or something like that. I don't remember who the third one was.
Anyways.
All right. And the Dolphins place wide receiver Jakeem Grant on IR ending his season. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
All right. Let's have some fun with the Thanksgiving thing.
Pick your 6.
All right, we're going to do some word association. So I had this idea while I was sitting at work today, and then I saw that Michelle from Ball Blast did a thread on this also. So not stealing her idea, but also want to give props to her because it did get out in the public first. Michelle and Kate over at Ball Blast, they do good work. Check them out if you haven't. So we're going to do some, I've got something like 11 players written down. You can throw some out there too if you want.
Sure.
And we are going to associate them to a Thanksgiving food.
Ooh.
Word association. All right. I'll start with you, and then I'll give mine. Let's start with Lamar Jackson.
Stuffing. It's always an underrated food that everybody loves to have, and you always find that you want to have multiple servings of it, and it ends up being your favorite meal or your favorite food on the plate.
Yep, I'm gonna go with cheesy potato casserole, or au gratin potatoes. We'll go with au gratin potatoes because that's more the common thing for me.
Sure.
Never disappointing. Always look forward to. Exciting. You never see those on the table when you're not happy. Just like you have never been not happy with Lamar Jackson in a game since he started playing. It's not a common thing, just like Jackson isn't a common quarterback, but au gratin potatoes for Lamar Jackson.
I absolutely love it.
All right. Dalvin Cook.
Pumpkin pie. Old tried and true. Something you can always rely on and always going to be there to provide you with satisfaction. I believe he's one of the only running backs who have yet to post an under double-digit point week. I believe he's finished as no worse than like an RB12.
Yep, I'm gonna call him the green bean casserole. I'm big on casseroles here. Again, tried and true. You're never disappointed by him. Always exciting, and you're happy that he's there.
Yay!
Yay! George Kittle.
Ooh. We're gonna go. He's the turkey. It's you are so pumped to see it. You're so pumped to have it, and he brings so much excitement and joy when you get your turkey leg or whatever portion of the turkey that you like the most. It just brings so much excitement. Like Lamar Jackson, you can't help but feel good inside when you watch George Kittle play.
I'm gonna say George Kittle is the rolls. Because you always start off with them. They're great for soaking up things, just like Kittle's great for soaking up targets. You got some gravy left over. You got some some chicken broth left over, some turkey juices. You just soak them up in a roll and eat them just like George Kittle soaks up targets, and you just eat him up whenever he's in your lineup. You can never and you can never have just one.
Oh, you can't.
All right, Kalen Balash.
What is something I hate? Like I
already know the answer to this, and it's going to be an unpopular opinion.
I don't dislike majority of food.
Oh, I got one that I completely dislike, and there's a reason he's here.
That's completely fine. I don't like sweet potatoes, like at all, unless they're like the fry version. I'm weird like that. So he's the sweet potatoes because I don't like them, and they're always just whatever to me.
He's the cranberry sauce.
That's
because cranberry sauce is absolute garbage. Whether it's the canned stuff or the homemade stuff, it don't matter. I don't even know what you're supposed to do with cranberry sauce. Just like I don't know what you're supposed to do with Kalen Ballage. There's this weird subset of people that like Kalen Ballage coming out of the draft, just like there's this weird subset of people that like cranberry sauce. And, well, both sets of those people are just wrong. It's never Kalen Ballage, just like there should never be cranberry sauce. Ever. All right, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold is ham. And I split up ham and turkey because everyone associates Thanksgiving with turkey.
I like ham.
There's people out there that love ham. Ham's underrated. Ham should always be there. Like Sam Darnold, you don't always want to play him. You don't always have him in your lineups. But he's tried and true. He's come through it as of late. He's, I think, like the QB 4 or 5 the last 4 or 5 weeks here. So like Sam Darnold has been amazing.
Is alcohol a food? Because Sam Darnold's the alcohol. It's
yes.
Young, exciting, and apparently gets blacked out.
It makes out with people.
It makes out with people. All right, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Man. Right. Shit, I don't know how much we have for food left that I need to pick from.
I got one for Juju if you can't think of anything.
All right, go ahead. I'll see if I can think of one.
Juju's the mashed potatoes.
Okay.
So, for me, with mashed potatoes, I'm weird about them. It's a consistency thing for me. You load them up, they're great. They're made right, they're great. They're the right consistency, they're great. Just like Juju last season with Ben Roethlisberger and Juju when he's been healthy. But occasionally, just not made right, or they just don't settle with me, or really they mess with my gag reflex sometimes. Just like Juju sometimes makes me want to gag with the way that things have gone this season.
It's not even him.
No,
the things
like, around
he's
him.
perfect for mashed potatoes because it's not his fault that you don't like him.
No, it's like it's not the mashed potatoes' fault I don't like them. It just has to do with the way that what's around them, the way that they're made.
Yes, that I can go with, and I'm going to stand by it with. I'll stand by it with yours.
All right, Jared Goff.
He was Jared Goff is now maybe just as my family. We like to do olives.
Okay.
As just kind of randomness, both green and black olives. He's the green olives for me. I like maybe 1 or 2 of them, and then I'm done. Too salty, texture thing. I love black olives. Not a big fan of green olives. Like Jared Goff, you get, the first couple bites, you feel pretty good, but then, like we've seen this year, if you had a little bit too much, you get that real odd feeling to it. And with Goff is you don't really know what to expect. You don't really know how you feel about him anymore, given what we've seen so far.
The Goff for me is the turkey. You're always excited about it, and sometimes you shove your face with it. And the first half of Thanksgiving, it's your friend, and the second half, it's the reason you're passed out on the couch taking a nap, and kind of miserable because turkey makes you sleepy. And Jared Goff these days makes me pretty sleepy. But also because turkey is, kind of dry and bland half the time if it's not made right. And Jared Goff has been pretty dry and bland here lately.
Yeah, he's the overcooked turkey.
All right, 3 more. We're going to try our best at these. Kyler Murray.
It's your best friend that comes into town from college. your soup. Like, we're gonna go off script a little bit with this. It's not
That's
just
fine.
food anymore.
Not just food anymore. I almost did
Not
that.
just food anymore.
I almost did that with Sam Darnold.
Like he's young. He's excited. You stayed home. He went off to college. You got all these new gadgets and new things to bring to show you, cake stands and all these fun stories to tell. And you get there, he fumbles through a few things. He met some buddies that he brought, back with him. Maybe it's new girls or whatever. You say, you're just excited. You're pumped to hear everything, and you're pumped to see what happens moving forward. That's Kyler Murray for you.
All right. I got to think about this for a second. Kyler Murray for me is, I don't know. It's like Watergate salad or mac and cheese or something that you're just not used to, but it doesn't show up every year, and it's new and exciting and fun, and likely won't. Well, not to say Kyler Murray won't make a return or improve, because he probably will, but new, fun, and exciting, basically. All right, 2 more. These are going to be the real test for us. Do one for you, one for me. For you, Kirk Cousins.
Ooh, Kirk Cousins. I have one more to add because I haven't done mashed potatoes, and I have one player for mashed potatoes. But for Kirk Cousins is going to be, he's my green bean casserole. I normally love green bean casserole. It's consistent, provides me value. Like, it's joy. Most people in my family don't like to eat it as much as I do, so I get a lot of servings of it. Every now and then, you get a couple of bad ones in there. Maybe it hasn't been cooked enough for whatever reason, or you don't get enough of whatever sauce or whatever you're looking for that consistency. So every now and then, like Kirk Cousins will do, he'll provide you a bad stretch of taste. And he also do what he's doing right now and be one of the best QBs in football.
All right, and for me, Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky for me is the veggie tray, because
that's so good.
It's consistent, as in Trubisky's accuracy this year has actually been pretty consistent and not terrible, and it's good for you, just like Trubisky's underlying numbers have generally been good for you, but it's boring and unimaginative and doesn't have the confidence to be something that tastes better than what vegetables do. Like, you need dip to spruce up vegetables. You need something to spruce up Mitch Trubisky, at least this year, because he has not been giving you anything despite the good underlying metrics. Just like, he gives me no joy, just like vegetables give me no joy.
That works.
All right, you said you had one more.
One more. Christian McCaffrey. Because you get he is the MVP. So whatever your meal is, whatever your side dish is that you would consider the MVP of Thanksgiving.
Christian McCaffrey is my stuffing.
Okay.
You can use it in multiple ways. You can stuff the turkey. You can use it as a standalone dish. You can go stovetop. You can go homemade. It's a dual threat, just like Christian McCaffrey is a dual threat, but it's always consistently good. And regardless of how it's used, it is not disappointing, and always exceeds expectations.
So Christian McCaffrey for me is my grandma's homemade cheesy potatoes. I want multiple upon multiple servings. Not only do I want that, I get my own dish made for me to take home. This is my favorite side dish. This is what I look forward to for not just Thanksgiving, but for all holidays, including my birthday. Christian McCaffrey is the cheesy potatoes, because no matter how or how it's served to you, you're gonna like it. If you don't like it, you're one of the few. You're the guy that took Saquon Barkley 101 into the Christian McCaffrey. That's my take.
All right. That's all I got. I'm kind of out of foods other than like pies and things like that. Cooper Cup's my pumpkin pie, but that's for different reasons.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start checking some boxes, and we'll eventually review what we're drinking.
Yeah.
We'll
get there.
Do some top shelf and rail. Starts and sits.
Top shelf or rail?
All right, Dan, go ahead and give us your first start of the week.
We're going to go with Jonathan Williams against Tennessee. Tennessee has been one of the worst teams against running backs over the past 4 weeks. Yes, you can chalk it up to Leonard Fournette, what he was able to pull off this past week. But overall, what we saw last week from them is that Williams, I believe, had 25 touches, if not more. They gave him the bulk of the run. With a healthier, potentially healthier offense coming back, that should help open up the holes even more. Colts are also fighting for a playoff spot. Williams could get a lot of run this week. Must win for a lot of people probably out there. I'm the guy that was able to win the game last week, hopefully.
All right. I'm going to go with Ronald Jones against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's given up 15 plus in 3 straight games to Hyde and Mack and almost 30 to Derrick Henry. All kind of meh running backs, or at least Hyde and Mack are, or Hyde is. Mack has been good, but we've seen him struggle a little bit. Same for Henry. Jones is seeing about 15 touches a game. The game script, I expect that Tampa Bay is going to probably easily outperform the Nick Foles, what we've seen from a Nick Foles-led Jaguar offense. So I don't really expect this to be a shootout. I more expect Tampa Bay to be kind of in a comfortable lead, especially with how bad Jacksonville's defense has been, especially since trading Ramsey, and game script to go in Ronald Jones' favor, in addition to the efficiency you should see on those 15 touches. So I'm all in favor of Ronald Jones flex.
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
All right, your next start of the week.
DK Metcalf against Minnesota. You start any big physical fast receiver against the secondary. They're going to have fits with them. I expect this game to actually be a decent scoring. Both offenses are clicking. Both defenses, well, Seattle has looked better as of late. Minnesota is the best offense they've seen in a while here. I expect Metcalf to get at least 3 or 4 deep shots and connect on at least 2 of them.
Breaking news.
Oh.
Driscoll's out. The Lions are starting David Blow or Blah or Blood or Blug or whatever.
I'm not surprised by that. I think that was what it was leading.
I'm getting a bet in right after this podcast before the odds on that change drastically.
Yeah, right.
All right. Anthony Miller in my next start of the week. 20 targets of 130 plus yards over the last 2 weeks. If you listen to Monday's episode, you heard that exact same stat. This is a lazy call, but also a good one. If Slay plays, Robinson's going to get him. If Slay doesn't play, it's just a good situation for the offense. Miller's been more involved, and the Bears' offense has seen production because of it. Taylor Gabriel's out. Ben Brunecker's out. There's target volume to be had, and really the only ones that are going to get it are going to be Robinson, Miller, and Cohen. So there you go. Anthony Miller. Your third and final start of the week.
Tyler Boyd. He gets a Jets secondary that would you suggest defense overall. They're good against the run. They're not so great against the pass. They've been up 7 touchdowns over the past 4 weeks. With Andy Dalton back at the helm, there's just a plus for the offense overall. They may not win this game, and the Jets offense has been good enough to score points. This could be a sneaky game stack in DFS as well. I like Tyler Boyd this week.
Man, is there some idiocy on Twitter right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you've obviously got the David Blah starting, and they didn't give Kaepernick a chance. People out there like that don't realize it takes more than 3 days or overnight to learn an NFL playbook. So yeah, there's that. Because they totally expected Jeff Driscoll to miss and sign Kaepernick and have him learn a playbook in 4 days. Anyways, Robbie Anderson, my last start of the week. It's that time of year. It's the time of year when Robbie Anderson actually wins you leagues and starts doing things. He started that last week with a 4 for 86 and 1 performance. He saw 3 of his last 4 games over 75 yards with a touchdown last year in 2018. And he gets the Bengals, which is a very, very favorable matchup. Robbie Anderson, tried and true, a playoff winner. My last start of the week.
I like it.
All right. Let's do some sits. You've got your first one is Carlos Hyde against New England, and it's really just everybody against New England.
Yeah, you don't play French flex-worthy, running backs against this defense. They've been fantastic all year. They've only given up one rushing touchdown on the season. far less than 100 yards per carry or 100 yards per carry, 100 yards per game, and I just nope, I'm not playing him. This looks to be more of a Duke Johnson game, if anything.
Yeah. All right, Juju Smith-Schuster against Cleveland for me. He'll get Denzel Ward, which is a bad stretch anyway. He had just one target for 7 yards in his one catch for 7 yards in his last start with Devlin Hodges. Still banged up with a knee injury coming off of a concussion. Starting a Steelers player this week is James Washington. It is not Juju Smith-Schuster. Did I have?
They're not playing against Seattle. They're playing against Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. That's my bad thing.
Yeah. I'll just fix it for you.
That's fine.
Anyway.
Kenny
Galladay versus Chicago. Third string quarterback against a secondary that has started and shut down wide receivers. I don't really need to say more.
All right, Bo Scarborough against Chicago. They'll be able to key on the run against the defense that's been above average against the run. Not a whole lot of dynamics expected here, and I bet they're throwing a lot. So, don't start Lions.
If they throw a lot, it ain't going to be pretty either. If this defense is available, pick them up.
All right, Cortland Sutton against the Chargers.
Yeah, a little bit different here. The Chargers defense is starting to really take shape over the past few weeks here. They've only given up just under 28 points per game to all wide receivers. The likelihood that we could see Drew Lock make his first career start here on Sunday is looking more and more likely. And the Chargers are one of only two teams that now allow a receiving touchdown over the past 4 games here. I love Sutton this year. I do not like him this week.
All right, my last one, Dak Prescott against Buffalo. He goes into Buffalo to face a really good defense. His bad performances this year were on the road against New Orleans, the Jets, and he's at home.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say where he was. I'm just saying his bad performances this year were on,
you said on.
Yeah, I said on the road, but I was getting into a point.
Okay.
That didn't necessarily lead towards on the road, just what his bad performances were. Against New Orleans, the Jets, at home against Philly, and on the road against New England. But Buffalo's allowed just one quarterback over 25 points. And this is what I have a high probability of being wrong about, just to be clear. Put this in here more so to make myself feel better because I'm starting Kirk Cousins over Dak Prescott in a league.
That's fair.
A league that really behooves me to win in. Not that it's a win and in situation because I'm locked into a playoff spot, but it's definitely a seeding thing where there's bye weeks at stake. And look, it's one of those things where it's like Dak Prescott has not been good against good defenses. New Orleans was playing really well whenever he ran into them. The Jets have been a top 10 defense all year. And, Philadelphia at home was right when they started to get healthy. And then we saw what happened against New England. It was a very good defense. But Buffalo also really hasn't played that many good quarterbacks or good teams, honestly. The best quarterback they played, I think, is Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of the most hot topics about Buffalo is that the wins that they've had and the records in total of the teams they've beat has been pretty bad.
It's like
they lost to Cleveland where Baker had a decent game against them. They're gonna always lose to New England. But I think they lose this week. I'm torn. Like if you don't want to play Dak, which is probably the right call. If you're going off,
if you have a better option, like Cousins over Dak is something that I'm very, very fond of.
Like if I had Sam Darnold, I would play him over Dak. I'm like maybe even Ryan Tannehill with how much of a tear he's been on since he's taken that job over. Maybe. I think they bounce back. But like I said, I mean, this is where you take risks. It's week 13. This is the last week for a lot of teams out there before the playoffs start. You may be fighting for a wild card. You may be fighting for the first round bye.
For a bye week, just fighting to get in.
Spoils. Yeah, like you may just want to play spoils to somebody trying to get in because that's what you do when you're not, in playoff contention. So, I don't hate this call. I think it's a very bold call, though. Yeah. I do.
And I wanted to be bold here, and we're gonna get into. We're gonna do a beer review actually, and we're gonna get into that before we finish out the podcast with weekly specials because there's some things about this week being different than every other week in fantasy football that need to be said.
Yep.
But let's do a review first.
Beer review.
All right, Dan, go ahead and start off.
All right. So reminders, Rolling Meadows is raspberry truffle porter. This is per the can of toasty porter aged on cocoa nibs and raspberries. It's supposed to be raspberry forward, which it is. The problem is there is very little chocolate on this. We spoke about this before we started recording and going live. And I think there is something off about this beer. I had a taste of it last year. Absolutely loved it. The chocolate and the raspberry were rich. This version of it, now that they've done it in cans, the raspberry is definitely there, but the chocolate is very, very light and it is overly carbonated. And I'm wondering if that, kind of plays into the flatness from this beer.
Yeah, and it's hard telling. From doing the home brew thing, and Rolling Meadows is a farm brewery. It's not a large operation. Sometimes when you scale batches that large, I'm wondering if they got something wrong, if there was something in fermentation that didn't quite go right, or even at canning that didn't quite go right, or if it's just a matter of you need to set one off to the side and wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a little bit better as I've let it warm up, but there's to me, I still feel like there's something off.
All right, so for me, I was drinking Big Smooth's Old Vine's Infidel. So wine, I'm gonna do my best at this because wine is probably my weakest out of my three passions. The other two being beer and bourbon. On the nose, and first off, it's way different sniffing bourbon than it is sniffing wine. You get kind of a dark cherry that's almost overwhelmed by like a white pepper. There's a ton of legs to this being 15%. Is kind of trickles down the glass. Taking a drink because I'm better at it that way. Very up front, you do get a fruit bomb, a lot of dark fruit to it, a little bit of like black cherry to it, but I think that the grape and the sugariness of the grape, being in a warmer climate, kind of take the front on this. It finishes semi-dry, not the most dry thing that I've ever had, but pretty dry, with a bit of pepperiness that lingers there. Overall, we had this with some Cornish hens. It paired very, very nicely with those, and it's been a very, very easy drink, especially for 15%. You don't get a whole lot of ethanol or alcohol taste on it. It's very, very well masked.
Nice.
So, very, very good. Thank you to one of my coworkers for actually recommending this. And by the way, if you don't like Velvet, keep away from the label. All right, so I teased it. We're gonna go ahead and get into this now before we give our streams and stuff. So, week 13, a little bit different of a bear. First things first, when you're setting lineups for week 13, it's not just about, it's different than it is the rest of the season. Because you need to know what situation you're in. If you are just done and completely done and have no chance of making the playoffs and no chance at anything in a redraft league, first off, I normally stay out of waivers in that situation. I'm not fighting for anything anymore. I'm still going to set lineups and everything, but I'm going to let the people that are playing play and stay kind of out of the waiver wire there. I'm not going to try to block anybody or make that sort of move because I'm out. If you're on the verge of getting in, though, you need to know your situation. You need to know what your tiebreakers are, what you need to do in any given week, and you need to not be afraid to make some tough decisions. John Hogue of the Superflex Super Friends podcast,
Oh yeah,
touched on this on Twitter with benching DeAndre Hopkins. I'm benching somebody that's been a top 6 quarterback. You need to not be afraid to bench people in a bad matchup, which I should have done last week with Dak, and I was afraid to do. And you need to not be afraid to play people with upside. If you don't just need to win, but you're going to be tied and you need to win big in points. You need to not be afraid to take a home run swing if you're trying to get in. And also not be afraid to go with your gut or go with the matchup or go with what you know, even if it means benching a big name guy.
So one of the worst sayings is, I've been, I've been guilty of saying it, but that's to start your studs. It's a saying that needs to go away, because what we've learned throughout the year should dictate the type of moves that we're going to make in a very pivotal week in fantasy football. Like, even if you have your playoff doesn't start to week 15, 13 and 14 in general are two very, very important weeks. Or just the week before and 2 weeks before the playoffs are huge. You want to score points, and you want to hopefully win both of those games, kind of put yourself in a position to make the playoffs or get that first round bye. And I completely agree here. Like, you got to take risks. You got to take a bold stand. If you feel like, in John's case, he's playing Darius Skys over DeAndre Hopkins, that's a very bold call. It could backfire. It could also win in his favor. And that's because we understand what New England is and has been this year. Stephon Gilmore, top 3 cornerback in the league, should likely see DeAndre Hopkins in at least 80% of his routes.
Yep.
If not that, they're going to shadow coverage him. You will always double cover DeAndre Hopkins. Having Will Fuller there is important because it should help, take away the safety on that side of Hopkins if they want to shadow coverage on to Fuller because of how good he is on 9 routes and on just deep routes in general. But just overall, it's just one of those things where it's you can't be afraid to sit your first round pick, for a guy who's been playing better or a guy who just has higher upside. You have to know,
or when you know the matchup's bad.
Yeah, like I'm benching Deshaun Watson for Sam Darnold. Like, to me, that's not a bold call at all.
No,
to a lot of casuals out there who are going off of projections, who are going off of name cachet, that is a bold call.
Yeah, my favorite thing to say is that projections on ESPN or wherever you might be playing are complete bullshit.
They're actually thought about. I think for ESPN, they're done well in advance. They're not kept up to date. Live scoring projections, different scoring, or different beasts. But
the
previews
going
to
the week,
yeah,
yeah,
they're going to probably seem a bit off.
Yep, and they are. So you can't be afraid to make that tough decision. You can't be afraid if you need not just to win, but to win. Not just to win, and maybe not necessarily win big, but need to outscore somebody else that you may end up tied with. You need to not be afraid to play your guys that have the potential to go boom, too. I mean, Normally I lean floor, but this is 1 week where if I need to, I'm going to play upside.
Oh, yeah. This is a week you're playing Robbie Anderson and Will Fuller.
You got to know your situation.
So Cole Beasley and Adam Humphries.
Yep. You got to know your situation.
Yep.
And, if you just need to win and you're good, then play floor. If you need to win by a lot, play big and do not, under any circumstances, be afraid to bench your player. One thing, you mentioned something you've been guilty of. I'm going to mention something I've been guilty of. Something I've been big guilty of is guys like Will Fuller, guys like Cam Newton in the past saying, yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you win by 50 in a week because you can't carry those points into the next week. Well, the one time it does matter is for tiebreakers.
Yep.
That's the part where that type of thing matters. So, for the majority of the season, that's a correct statement. For the last 2 or 3 weeks headed up to the playoffs, that is an incorrect statement. So,
it's all about play matchups. That's it. For any time of the year, you want to play the best matchup, and that is born. It's highlighted even more so as we hit the playoff season.
All right, let's hit some weekly specials and some call-outs and call it a show.
Yeah.
Weekly specials.
All right, not a great week for streamers either. So we'll give you a couple. There's really only, Dan, you got 2 of the 3 on here I felt strongly about. So I've got 1 I feel good about and some filler. So Let's go ahead and start off with you, though, with one of your three that I really, really like.
Yeah, Sam Darnold against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been bad all year against quarterbacks. They've given up 16 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. They've also given up 4 rushing touchdowns. Darnold's had 2 rushing touchdowns over the past 3 games. The Jets' offense in general has really taken a step forward. They've had easy matchups, but that's what you want in this situation. I just mentioned before I'm going to play Darnold over Deshaun Watson, and I would definitely play Darnold over Dak Prescott if I had that ability to. I love Darnold this week, and I expect this game to be a kind of sneaky shootout.
All right, we've been preaching drop about my stream of the week, so now I got to pick him back up and start him. Sam Darnold gets it, or sorry, not Sam Darnold. Jared Goff gets Arizona. Arizona has, other than Chandler Jones, pretty much no pass rush to speak of. They have not been able to cover anything all season. They've been terrible against tight ends, and when it comes to get right games, Jared Goff this is his best chance for a get right game against Arizona's atrocious pass defense. Got a full week of practice with this full complement of pass catchers back. We're going to be full speed against a defense that's not very good. So if there was ever a week to gamble on Jared Goff, this is the one.
He's going for 350 and 4.
Yeah,
I'm calling it right now.
he very well may be.
He very well may be.
All right, you got probably the best tight end that's floating around on waivers.
Yeah, we're going to go back-to-back checks here. Ryan Griffin, he scored for a touchdown. He scored a touchdown for you last week. He gets the worst tight end defense over the past 4 weeks. That is against Cincinnati, giving up over 20 points per game to the position. 3 touchdowns, 234 yards, 20 receptions. We've all seen it before since last year. That Darnold prefers the tight ends in the red zone, and that's where Griffin can feast on. Again, just said it before. This could be a sneaky shootout game.
All right, I got Jimmy Graham against the Giants, and this is more of a gut thing, and a situation where there's not a ton of people on waivers, at least until we know if Everett's out, and Higbee's got Arizona all to himself. He gets the Giants, which is a team that has not been overly good against the pass, and they just lost Jabril Peppers, who's one of their their starting safety, basically. So the Packers are looking to find a spark on offense, and their 2 most tried and true pass catchers are Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams. Now, I'm big on Lazard. You hope to see some of those younger guys step up, but the Giants should be a cakewalk win for them, and I expect Jimmy Graham to be utilized, and he won't have to stay and do whatever he can in a blocking game or chipping game or anything like that against this team. So if you need a dart throw at tight end, that's a hit. It's not as good as the Ryan Griffin dart throw, but it's probably the second best, maybe third best if Everett doesn't play, and Higbee has that to himself.
Yeah.
All right, defenses. You've got the only defense that stood out to me this week.
Chargers against Denver. Potential third-string rookie quarterback coming in, Andrew Luck. You got the Chargers defense, which is starting to become healthy, which is really weird to say. They haven't been great over the past couple weeks, but again, you're playing matchups in the offense. Not what they've done lately. They haven't got a lot of turnovers, but again, rookie quarterback making his first career start. They can key on the running game. They can force Locke to throw, or just Brad Allen, who's been bad in general, to throw. I absolutely love the Chargers defense this week.
All right, I've got the Packers against the Giants, and going back to back with the Packers here, but Danny Dimes has not been great as of late. We just saw what the Bears did to him, not scoring a ton of points. Saquon hasn't been good as of late either. He isn't 100%. Giants have struggled to really score. They're going to be missing Golden Tate and Evan Ingram potentially. So you can run the Packers out and at least get a decent floor game from them, and with a chance at picks or sacks.
Yep.
That's it. I'm not very enthusiastic about any of my calls outside of Jared Goff. So. All right, let's do some call-outs real quick, and we'll call it a show and head on to Thanksgiving and the most critical week in fantasy outside of championship week.
You call it.
All right, Dan.
Tyler Boyd, he is 6,000 on FanDuel. He's going to be, I think, a bit low. He might be a little bit owned after a nice performance this past week against Pittsburgh. You get Andy Dalton coming back. I already spoke about Tyler Boyd as one of my starts of the week. Throwing him out there.
All right. Ronald Jones, I told you already everything I like about him. The other thing I like about him is his DraftKings price point at 5,100.
Good.
Yeah, good. All right, you got the 49ers +6 against at Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't think this game is going to be a blowout either way. This is two very good defenses. You get weather that could potentially make with wet conditions a little bit harder to run on with those slides, so to speak. I know how good the Baltimore Ravens offense has been. I'm a huge Ravens fan, but this is your potential Super Bowl preview, as they say. I don't think this game lives up to the shootout hype as we saw last year with some of the other ones, but I think this game remains close. And I think +6 is a very good spot to have if you're betting the Niners here.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead with the Bills +6.5 against Dallas, at Dallas. And again, this is it's a true gamble, right? Because you don't know. I guess really what you don't know is how good is that Bills defense really, because they haven't necessarily played anything on the level of what Dallas is. So we've seen them be very, very good against the competition that they have faced. And we've also seen Dallas struggle against better defenses. So this is going to be a gamble on really what can emerge here. But, on paper, the Bills at +6.5, and the way that they like to win being low-scoring games, when they've held pretty much everybody this year in check, and Dallas has struggled to score against good defenses, it is one that I'm willing to take, especially at that point spread.
Yeah, I have no issue with this.
It's gonna be one of the more interesting games, just as far as learning something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, their worst loss this year has been by 18, and that was against a very healthy Philadelphia team. I won't say very healthy, but healthy-ish team in Philadelphia. So it's this is a good true test to see how good this Bills team actually is. Not just defense, but team.
Yep, it absolutely is, because I think Dallas checks the slightly above average on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, right.
But not fantastic. All right.
Well, it's a good offense. It's still a top 3 offense of football.
Yeah, until they play the Patriots or the Saints.
Well, they were number 1 until the Patriots game. I don't know how far they dropped, but either way, again, true test. I do like this call, though. I think that with how good that the Bills' offense can be, they could keep it. They can make this a potential shootout.
Yeah. All right, that's all we got for you today. That's all we got for you before Thanksgiving. Thank you for tuning in. Tweet us your start sits, and one of us will try to get to them through our relatively busy holiday tomorrow. If we don't, we apologize ahead of time. Also, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Beerfield Fantasy Football. Follow the show at Beerfield FF. Show up on Sunday and ask away all your questions that you may have as far as start sits goes. Dan and I will both be present for the Sunday live stream as we try to get you ready for the second most crucial week in fantasy football outside of championship week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening with us all season long as we make a push to the playoffs in season 3. I am at Hot BFF, Christopher.
I am at 30 BFF, Daniel.
And yeah, we will catch you guys next time here on Sunday at Beerfield Fantasy Football.
Peace.
See ya. This is the part where I drop. Usually.